Welcome back. Okay, so we're jumping right into week 2 of the compound effect from the book club through the Roar Collaborative. So these again are just short videos to recap what we went over on those weeks using the workbook. If you're a virtual member, you will have access to a printable workbook every month for the book that we're going over. I curate the information for those workbooks to help us really hone in the themes, concepts, and then actions to take from the book to make sure that we're reading it, but then also applying it in areas of our life that'll really help us. So jumping into week 2 for the compound effect, we were focusing on habits and momentum. So week 1, we went over kind of bringing a little bit of an awareness to our daily habits and how they affect us over time. So if we do those small little things every day from 3 months from that day when you're looking at it, how will that impact our life? Will it be positive or negative? And then what are those habits that we're doing that we're not really conscious about? Like they're part of our routine. They're just our day-to-day and we do them subconsciously, kind of like brushing our teeth, getting dressed and things like that. So week 2 helps us hone in a little bit more on those habits. And we're trying to look into what bad habit did we identify that we're ready to break. So was there something when you were reflecting for chapters 1 and 2, when you're thinking about your personal day-to-day, was there something that stuck out to you that could be considered a bad habit or something that would have a negative effect in the area of your life that you're trying to improve? So if you're trying to work on your finances, are you buying a Starbucks coffee every week or every other day? And could that $30 be put towards savings, which could compound over time into thousands of dollars at the end of the year? Or is it something that we're eating? Is it our health that we're trying to improve, but we have this habit of pouring a glass of wine at the end of the day because work was stressful and we deserve it. Trust me, I've been there and I totally deserve it. We all deserve it. But when we think about it, if that's a daily habit, 1 cup of wine every single day, does that get us to our health goals that we are truly wanting to have? Or is it maybe holding us back? I don't know about you guys, but when I was drinking a glass of wine every night, and I was trying to build a business, after that glass of wine hit me, I was like, I'm done. I'm not doing anything else. And so I would just retreat to the couch, chill, and not put my brain energy on anything. But once I stopped having glasses of wine every night, I was able to get back up after the kids went to bed, get on the computer, get some work done, and that helped me progress in what I'm doing right now at this book club or in real estate. So small things like that we might not think are actually bad habits, but they're just habits that we participate in every day. What did we identify that we would like to break? And then maybe is there a trigger that causes this habit? So if you guys have read the book Atomic Habits, they talk about habit stacking and creating positive triggers so that you can progress through your day doing all the positive things you want. I believe one of the breakdowns they had in that book was if you wanted to get up and do walks every morning, you could sleep in your gym clothes or your walking clothes or have them right next to your bed along with your shoes. So the first thing you do is you get dressed to go for a walk and you put your shoes on your feet, and that'll trigger you to get out the door and walk. I thought that was a great idea in theory, but in practicality, it was still too cold for me to get up and go for walks in the morning. So what I needed to do is have a treadmill in the home so I could walk inside where the temperature is comfortable. But again, that is things to think about. Are we succumbing to our triggers? Are there stress triggers in our life that are causing us to do the bad habit? Or are there positive triggers? There could be positive things too that we reward ourselves, right? So if we do well on a review for work, or we make the deal happen, we close the sale, we then reward ourselves with a night out of drinks or a big fancy dinner or a nice expensive cup of coffee. And maybe we're super successful, and that trigger of always being successful every day and then rewarding ourselves with kind of a negative thing can detract from our end goal. So those are things to think about. Are we doing the things that we want to do in our life to get us to where we want to be? I know that was a lot of word soup, but it makes sense. And then for our momentum, right? So where have we lost momentum lately? When you think about it, are there things that kind of pop up in our day-to-day lives that make us pause and rethink our goals. If you're anything like me, or like any other human being that is doing more than one thing right now, I'm gonna say yes, we've probably had a lot of things pop up that stall our momentum. And there's a lot around momentum, that it's like made, or you just get it, or you're blessed with it, or like the moons and the stars align and like everybody's energy is moving forward. But I will say that we really do create our own momentum, and we create the path to follow through on that momentum. If we put up a lot of walls around what success looks like, so like for me, I have a hard time. I have big goals and big dreams, and I want them done in 3 weeks. And if they're not done in 3 weeks, then I failed. I'm not good at this. I'm not going anywhere. What I need to do is break down that belief and barrier for my momentum and say, okay, here's my checkpoint. I'm not at the goalpost yet, but did I make this checkpoint? And is everything still looking good? And should I still travel on this path of momentum that I'm on? Yes, I should, because I want to reach that goalpost. So what are those things that have helped you or kind of prevented you from continuing on that momentum, or have made you lose some momentum? Being sick, for example. You can catch a cold or be ill for like a couple of days or a week, and then everything you were working on before, you feel like, I lost that whole week. There's no sense in trying to pick up where I left off and continuing. I'm just going to let it go. So how do we get back into that mindset? I was like, okay, I lost a week, but I'm still going for this, like, and got to drive forward. And think about, like, in the past, if you were able to overcome something like that, what small actions did you take to regain that momentum? What things did you do to get back into it? Now, maybe it took weeks or months or maybe even years for you to get back into that mindset of continuing on your goal. But what was it that triggered you to restart that? That's something you want to reflect on and have in your back pocket for everything that's going to come up in life when you're on your journey of success in health, life, family, business, whatever it is. And then what keystone habit could create ripple effects in your life? So again, on this like habit stacker thought, again, a lot of the concepts are repeated in a lot of these self-help books for a reason, because they actually work for the people that implement them. But what is that keystone habit that could help implement and have a positive ripple effect in your life? So what could you do or have you done in the past that really worked for you to stick to a habit consistently? Is it meal prepping? Is it putting your running sneakers on the second you get out of bed? Is it positive reward, right? So instead of getting that glass of wine or that big fancy dinner after you close a deal, maybe it's putting money in a savings account that you weren't able to before closing that deal. Things like that. And we want to create actions. We want to create a 3-step habit loop to replace negative habits. Again, so like, are you motivated by reward, or is it like failure? These are things you want to think about when you're thinking about realigning your habits and your daily routine to achieving your goals. The book will help you go through what the heck a 3-step habit loop is. But for you to add an action to take is to write down that 3-step habit loop for a negative habit that you've identified from previous chapters. And then what does getting into the flow look like for you? So like once you're on your game, right, you've got that momentum and you have a clear path to that goalpost. What does that look like? How is that flow? Like where and who are you when that's happening? For me, when I got into that flow with a project, I would be at my computer, headphones on, blaring my favorite music, dead to the world. But I was like getting stuff done in the horde, like just hordes of just time was non-existent. I was just working away, project would be done. I would review it 100 million times, send it off. But that was me for my flow when I had the good momentum of getting things done. Creating websites, sometimes I have the momentum and flow to do it, and sometimes technology stresses me out and it causes me to lose my momentum. So having to figure out how to get back into that flow is a challenge for me, and why this book is really important to come back to over time for the different things I'm doing in my life, because it can apply when I'm focusing on health. It can apply to everything health-wise, but then I want to focus on career. So I'll go back and start over and apply those same things to my career. So keep that in mind when you're going through this book. You want to try to focus on one area in your life, the one goal you want to work on, and use that through the workbook that you have and the challenges and the actions that the book gives you. And then you can always go back and redo everything for another aspect of your life. And then once you get kind of more aware of the positive habits that you're having, or that you've identified, you want to get consistent. So my workbook does give you a 7-day tracker for actions and habits. You want to write down an action that you want to commit to. That is going to be your new habit. That can be the start of your 3-step loop positive habit cycle. But the consistency here and being able to do it every day, or the days you know you need to do, is really, really important. They say it takes 3 weeks to make a habit, or 21 days, and I'm sure you've heard of a bunch of different programs that model the success platform around that. Thinking like any type of nutrition, meal prep challenge, or exercise weight loss challenge. It's always like 21 days or 21-day start, or 3 weeks to 3 weeks to abs. Like if you think about stuff like that, 21 days is kind of like the framework around it. So we want to stick to something. We want to try it out for the first week, and then we want to try to keep it going for at least 3 more weeks. And once you get past that 3 weeks to 4 weeks barrier, they say that's when your brain gets rewired to create a new habit in your life. So in the beginning, when you identify the negative habits that you want to do anymore, you've edited them to a point where you're comfortable, and then you're able to replace them maybe with this new 3-loop habit change, or just a whole new habit entirely. Then you want to practice that change for 3 weeks or for the month to really get it concrete in your brain. The point of the compound effect and the point of this system is to do really small things consistently over time that compound into the big things. And if you can make those small things a habit, which means you do it on autopilot, then you're going to be setting yourself up for much more success than you are when you start. So that is week 2. We focus a lot on our habits and our momentum, how we get into our momentum, how we stay there, and how we get back on track when things pop up that we're really not expecting or we're not prepared to handle. I'd say being sick is like the number 1 momentum killer for me. But like being able to get back into it as soon as possible has become a new challenge of mine. It's like, how quickly can I get back into whatever I was doing before? How quickly can I start that back up again? Even though I have to start over, it doesn't matter. The time it takes me to start up again is getting smaller each time. So that for me is a win. So what is that like for you? I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to hear kind of your momentum tricks, what triggers you to stay in your flow and get you back going. If you have any other questions about this week's chapters, which are 3 and 4 of the compound effect, or any other questions at all, please don't hesitate to drop them in the YouTube comments, on our personal page, on Facebook, wherever you feel comfortable. Hope you got some value out of this one, and I'll see you back here for week 3.